For many years, some Muslim women of India have been suffering quietly. These women have been left by their husbands in a matter of minutes. In some cases, it has been done over social media platforms such as Facebook and WhatsApp. The process with which it's been done is known as triple talaq, where a man has been able to divorce his wife completely with no easy course of return. The issue has been catapulted nationally this year when a Muslim woman, Shayara Bano, took the practice into the Indian Supreme Court. She's a mother of two from the northern state of Uttarakhand. Whilst visiting her parents' home last year for medical treatment, she received an ominous letter, a talaqnama, from her husband, which told her that he was divorcing her using the 3 talaqs. She wants the Supreme Court to consider declaring the triple talaq tradition as unconstitutional and illegal. She's also asking for the practice of polygamy and nikah halala to be declared the same. So what do these terms mean? Triple talaq is to pronounce the word talaq, meaning divorce, 3 times in one sitting. Its difference with a normal talaq is that there are no waiting periods between the pronouncements, where such gaps would allow for the man to change his mind and take his wife back. 3 talaqs in one sitting is considered unorthodox in Islam, but scholars say, if done, is legally valid under Islamic law. The consequence of issuing talaq 3 times is that the man is not able to remarry his wife easily. This leads to the term nikah halala. This is the way in which a woman would be able to return to her divorced husband after he'd pronounced triple talaq. It would involve the woman marrying another man, consummating the marriage, and then being divorced or widowed. She is only then legally able to return to her original husband. Polygamy, or polygyny to give its correct name, is the marriage of one man to 2 or more women, but not exceeding 4. The case of Shayara Bano, along with a huge number of triple talaq incidents, has mobilized many women's rights activists to support her cause, and other victims have come forward. Zakia Soman, a social activist and founder of the BMMA, the Bharatiya Muslim Mahila Andolan, is one of these prominent voices.
The first argument is that triple talaq is not Quranic. If we look at the different verses in the Quran, it is supposed to, last over a period of 90 days, when there is supposed to be dialogue, discussion, failing which there has to be mediation by family members from both the sides. And if that fails, then it should lead to talaq. That is the Quranic position on talaq. But somehow, what we are seeing in India is a violation of the Quranic procedure on talaq. And the first argument is that it is not Quranic, and it's only another matter that the Constitution of India also talks about gender justice.
The debate on triple talaq has split into other issues, with many people now calling for Muslim personal law to conform to a uniform civil code, which they call One Nation, One Law. Indian personal law is fairly complex, where each of the country's religions are able to adhere to its own specific laws. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board, which is a non-government organisation, is one of the organisations who support this notion and are opposing any moves to change it. They filed an application to be heard by the Supreme Court's move to go into the validity of personal laws in the context of the fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution. They agree that although the Quran and Hadith consider triple talaq as a crime if said in one sitting, the process would be considered complete and cannot be changed. The crux of the issue seems to stem from the misuse of divorce by the treatment of women following it. Many cases have been reported where men who divorce their wives refuse to pay continued maintenance to their wives and their children. Cases such as Shayara Bano's involves them not being able to see their loved ones. Bano is asking for any form of divorce under Muslim personal laws to be declared illegal and unconstitutional, if the divorce is not preceded by attempts to reconcile the marriage over a specific period of time. She has requested 90 days but is open to the court deciding what is appropriate. Organizations such as the Muslim Personal Law Board reject this. The campaign carries on and the Supreme Court is still considering its decision. Until then, the misuse of triple talaq in Indian society is slowly creating a ripple effect in the world's largest democracy. Khadija Ahmed, Asia Wired.
Now, Khadija spoke to Indian Mufti Abdul Qadir Barkatulla, who is a scholar and Sharia judge at the Islamic Sharia Council in London. He has seen the issue follow to the UK and suggests that because of ignorance by Muslim couples, instances of triple talaqs in some cases can be counted as one.
Here in the UK, a couple of years ago, Islamic Sharia Council also floated this question among scholars, and they collected some responses. The responses were not very positive, so there is still more work to be done. But many scholars individually, they solve this issue by various other mechanism rather than making it illegal. They just reducing it to minimum talaq, 3 talaq, they reduce it to minimum 1 talaq. Triple talaq is a mainstream in Southeast Asian community because Southeast Asian community thinks and understands, and it is a hearsay that without doing talaq 3 times, nothing happens. So this mishap or misinformation itself is a very solid ground to reduce 3 talaq into 1 because of the mass confusion, misperception and misinformation. And there are Sharia and legal precedents that if public thinks that without 3 there is no talaq, then it should be regarded as a mere talaq rather than number, because people are not aware about the numbers. It is nothing to do with male or female. So what I have dealt cases where female insists that you give me 3 talaq, 1 or 2 is not sufficient. So it's the misinformation and misconception is from both sides. Men give that because they understand, they misunderstand also, and they want to do the maximum damage at the time of anger. This problem of triple talaq is not an epidemic issue in India. So the liberals and the hostile government and the other people who are making it as a storm in the teacup, that is the real issue. So the political and judicial interference into the Islamic law is taken as a political initiative rather than any social or a religious or any judicial issue. So that's why Muslims are resisting in India. It is not an epidemic, although it is a problem, but there are local solutions and informal solution rather than going through illegalization of like 3 talaq. I mean, it easily can be dealt with by reducing it to the minimum 1 talaq, which is many groups, Muslim groups do recognize. The correct way of divorce is to go through mediation, arbitration, and then go to mitigation. And this has been throughout the Western world, also in Canada, North America, and in UK courts are introducing that mitigate before you litigate in terms of the social breakdown of marriages. And this is the Quranic injunction which has been there for last last 1400 years, that if there is a dispute between husband and wife, it should be resolved by family members, friends, neighbors, and if that fails, then they can resort to talaq. But what is happening in the absence of any other help, outside help, husband and wife, they go berserk and they do the ultimate and the last step before they do the first and second step. The responsibility after divorce is that men should not throw the woman out of the house. They are still responsible for next 3 months for housing, maintenance, and everything. This is just to give the marriage its slow, slow ending. Apart from 3 months, of course, if there are children, the man's responsibility is to look after and pay for the maintenance of the children. They are no longer responsible for the housing and the monthly expenses because the marriage ends. So in Indian context, because of the economic problem there, those women or families who do not have their relatives to look after them, they become like homeless and stranded on the street. And this issue has been dealt like 30 years ago by Supreme Court by granting them unlimited maintenance and shelter, which was not accepted by the Muslim community, and the Act of Parliament changed it. So the Supreme Court has tried before also that even after divorce, ex-husband should be responsible for the maintenance and other things. Of course, under Islamic law, they are responsible for the maintenance of the children, but not the woman, because they are free to remarry and they are free to join their own families. They live, and there is a lots of reward for the parents and the brothers and other relatives to take them back if the marriage has broken down. They should not abandon them on the street.